It was late 2018, when younger me was sitting at home, getting ready to go to school, and had just enough time to watch some TV. As I was jumping through the channels, I stumbled upon a rebroadcast of an esports event. Esports in TV? I thought to myself. Little did I know, watching that league final featuring two OG Polish orgs would lead me into cheering for fnatic at Worlds Finals later that same year. Spirits were high, as the European powerhouse was facing an opponent who they already managed to beat in the group stage. We were on the verge of making history and proving that the West is capable of beating the best teams internationally. And then, reality struck, as we witnessed Fnatic's abysmal 0-3 performance. After the dust settled, I was just hopeful more than anything. It made me hope for a Western team winning it all someday. I still didn't know much about esports back then. Hell, I didn't even get a PC to play League on until much later. But one thing was clear, that 2018 Worlds run made me fall in love with the black and orange org. And today, that feeling of pride in being a Fnatic fan is nothing but a painful reminder of how we were once on top of the Western region and how hard we fell since then. This is a video about what it's like to be a Fnatic fan. Before we dive into the 2019 season, we need to mention the late 2018 roster changes. In November, we got the sad news of our superstar mid laner Caps leaving for the second best EU org, G2 Esports. In his place, joining the ranks of Fnatic was Nemesis, a Slovenian player previously playing mid for Mad Lions, when they were still a team in the Spanish Regional League. Of course, in retrospect, Cap's decision makes a lot of sense. He's only continued to conquer Europe after his move, but at the time, I remember being very confused about his decision. He just made Worlds Finals with Fnatic. Why would he want to join a different team? Him leaving was a sign of something very wrong going at Fnatic. He clearly thought that joining G2 would give him a better shot at winning Worlds. Oh yeah, and also we decided to go with Wipo and drop Soas, a move which I didn't mind. I don't think either of them was great at the time, so it didn't really matter. Now, about Fnatic's results. I won't be talking about every match result, since that will make the video like 2 hours long, so I'll just mention the most important games. After barely making playoffs, we played 3 best-of-5s, winning the first 2 versus Vitality and Splice respectively, but dropping to Origin in a quick 3-0 sweep. An unspeakably disappointing result, which was a sentiment then echoed by the whole community. The poor tower dives happening regularly throughout the series were not something we expected of our org. We knew we should be far better than this. A funny thing to mention here is how in the VOD you can clearly hear the Fnatic biased crowd. It's most visible in the last teamfight of map 3, where Reckless dives in as Kaisa to secure a kill and the crowd roars with excitement, only to go dead silent after he dies and ultimately the game is lost.
Nemesis is alive and well. Reckless is still okay. They're going to try to get a little bit more, but Nuke is simply too strong. Patrick not going to get taken out. Hylissang desperate to get it, but the flash is still there. Oh, gee, I cannot believe it. Dominant match in game 1 and 2, but Reckless tries to make the hero play. Hylissang still alive, but there is no reset here. OG, will they end the game? Will they push forward here?
After that underwhelming run, with no roster changes, we moved on to summer. In summer we looked much better, only dropping 4 best-of-1s throughout the entire split and qualifying for playoffs in a convincing fashion. We started our playoffs run with a best-of-5 against G2, a first proper fight between the Europe's best teams. I was so hyped to see the series, although my excitement quickly faded as I witnessed G2 getting a 10k gold lead at 13 minutes in game 5. While we did put up a fight leading to a 2-2 score, Fnatic players just crumbled under pressure and we lost the final map in under 20 minutes.
Does not stand a chance at the ace for G2. G2's dominance has been been truly challenged, but they were not conquered. G2 continue to rule Europe.
We then had another chance at the title after quickly dealing with Schalke 04 with a clean 3-0 sweep, leading to another best of 5 against G2 Esports in the finals. This time history has repeated itself, with the series again going to 5 games and us losing after giving up first blood in bot lane, getting solo killed in top lane, and then dove on mid, all in the span of 30 seconds.
And he has arrived at the bot lane. Mickey and Perks are level 2, they're going in. Perk lands onto Hillesang, the scatter of the weak will connect as well, and the ignite is ticking away. One more order would be enough. Perks flashes forward, first blood to him, and Vegas has to flash away. Oh, we gotta keep an eye on top lane. Oh, Wonder's killed Whippo in the 1v1, and now meanwhile in the mid lane, G2 are destroying fnatic.
The game only went downhill from there, leading to us losing again 3-2.
Let's get the stand united. Echo's almost forward, but he's gonna go into the GA, and now Caps is focusing the Nexus down towards the bottom side. And it's like trying to fight as much as he can, but the Nexus is the target, and G2, they take it.
Of course, it wasn't the end of the season for the Black and Orange, as we managed to qualify for Worlds that year. We got drafted into what many consider the group of death: SKTT1, RNG and Clutch Gaming. Our group's run was definitely a highlight in a mostly grim year, as we made it out of the group stage along with SK Telecom T1 after going 3-0 in the second week. Sadly, afterwards came an unremarkable series against soon-to-be tournament winners, Fun plus Phoenix, with us losing 3-1.
That's a dead Nemesis, dead Whippo. It's going to be a dead fnatic. Fun plus Phoenix have shut down fnatic and advanced to an all-LP.
While it was an objectively poor season for an org that went all the way to the finals a year before, that group's run was a much-needed morale booster for me and many fans alike. "2020 started with us upgrading our jungler from Broxa to Selfmade, who has played with Nemesis back in the Mad Lions days. Definitely a welcome change. I was sure that this was a step in the right direction. In spring, we again had a good run, finishing second just behind G2 Esports. Come playoffs, we faced Origin first, beating them 3-1, then sweeping Mad Lions 3-0, in order to face G2 in finals again. We weren't even close. A quick 3-0 has cleared any doubts about which team is the EU's best. G2 was clearly our kryptonite, and it wasn't looking like it's gonna change anytime soon.
Split champions as they take down the Nexus and claim in the end their 7th title, matching the record set by fnatic. 7 titles.
Then came summer, with us having a weaker showing during the regular stage, but still qualifying for playoffs. There, we first faced Rogue, defeating them in a clean 3-0. Our next opponent was going to be G2 Esports, and at this point I really didn't expect much. Us losing both our matches versus G2 in the regular season wasn't making me any more hopeful. That's why I was surprised to see us actually win the series 3-2. I think that win is probably one of my favorite memories as a Fnatic fan, as it gave me hope for a title fight. I even remember talking to my dad about how my favorite esports team is gonna win it all this split. I was so excited for the finals, only for us to lose 3-0 to G2.
Wonder will kill Reckless. Jankos goes in and helps them get Hilly, and Caps is in the base. 10 splits, 8 titles. G2 are the greatest team we have ever produced in Europe, and they go back to back to back.
Kryptonite. That first best of 5 versus G2 was only one of my favorite memories, because my favorite one was about to come during Worlds quarterfinals. The Worlds group stage wasn't as hype as the year before, as we made it out in second place behind G&G. And then came that series. The one every Fnatic fan remembers. The one some would prefer to forget. Fnatic versus Top Esports.
A two-man taunt, and Reckless gets another. They're going to look for Jackie Love and find him, but no, what can he do? He manages to find Selfmade and flash over the wall.
Leading the series 2-0, it felt like there was nothing we couldn't do. I can't explain how hyped I was after Reckless predicted Jakilov's flash in that bot lane play. It was all so amazing, it felt like finally we can get a result we'd be proud of. And then top Esports started to fight back. We made history as the first team to ever get reverse swept on the world stage. I couldn't believe how mental boomed our team had to be not to be able to close that series. Again, I was just disappointed. From the peak hype and pride and supporting Fnatic up to game 2, to absolute misery after seeing us lose it all in the next 3 maps. What happened during Worlds 2020 is a topic for a whole separate video. Poor living conditions, poor practice opportunities, and Nemesis playing while knowing that he's getting sacked right after the tournament ends. The team was heavily overhauled for the next season, with one specific change none of us were expecting. And also I'll just quickly mention that in 2020 I bought a Fnatic hoodie, ironically shortly before them changing their logos, thus I wasn't a big fan of the change. Where do I even begin? On November 18th, 2020, Reckless announces his departure from Fnatic. The player who's basically become synonymous with Fnatic follows in Cap's footsteps to join our biggest rivals, G2. I remember when the announcement came on Twitter, I couldn't believe it at first. Reckless leaving? I remember when the announcement came on Twitter, I couldn't believe it at first. Reckless leaving? There's no way that's actually true. When someone says Fnatic, I immediately think Reckless and vice versa. It was just so surreal, and I remember tearing up a little while watching the farewell video. Now, did I understand Reckless' decision? Of course I did. There was no way Fnatic would ever give him a shot at the Worlds title with how the team was managed. And then came the other roster changes. On 25th of November, Nemesis leaves. Fnatic fans blamed a lot of teams' struggles on him, which was debatable for sure. I personally enjoyed watching him play and didn't feel like he should have been swapped for someone else. Our new ADC was supposed to be Upset, a well-known player in the LEC, and our new mid laner was Niski, who previously played for Cloud9. I remember being largely not in favor of the mid lane change, especially when we went from Nemesis to an unremarkable North American player. With so many shakeups, it would have been a miracle for us to go far in spring playoffs, and so we dropped after our second best of 5, first beating SK 3-1 and then losing to Schalke 04 3-0. After spring, Selfmade leaves the team. In his place, Bwipo role swaps to jungle and Adam becomes our new top laner. What happened to this org, man? 2021 summer was a much better story, though still with no happy ending. We had a decent run in the regular season, and then went on a 4 best of 5 series win streak, beating Vitality, Misfits, G2 and Rogue, before being stopped at the finals, with Mad Lions giving us a reality check with a quick 3-0. Imagine how frustrating it felt when we could never quite reach the top, always being the second best. It was tiring, but the hopes were high going into Worlds. We were clearly looking like a competitive team finally. Then came the tournament. Shortly before the start of the group stage, Fnatic announces that our ADC will not be able to play due to undisclosed personal reasons. In his place, Bean, our Academy's ADC, plays in the starting roster. Absolute clown show. We go 1-5 and that's all there is to say about Worlds 2021 for Fnatic. I really wanted to see Upset perform internationally just as every other Fnatic fan did, and all we got was depression fuel. And it wouldn't get any better from here. This was was the point where I became fed up with all that was going on over at Fnatic and would only sometimes check up on the results. I had to say it was very beneficial to my sanity, as what was about to unfold is genuinely depressing. Here's a list of all departures and new signings we did in these 2 seasons. Adam leaves, replaced by Wunder. Bwipo leaves, replaced by Razork. Niski leaves, replaced by Humanoid. Hylissang, the last remaining member of the 2018 Worlds Finalist roster, leaves, replaced by Rax. Upset gets contract jailed and benched in favor of bringing back Reckless. Wunder gets benched, again contract jailed, and replaced by Oscarinin. Rax moves back to Academy, replaced by Advien. Then Reckless announces his role swap to support, and Fnatic brings in Noah from Ultraliga. Advien goes to Koi, in his place we get Trimby. Then Trimby gets replaced by Jun at the end of 2023. That's 10 roster changes in the span of 2 years. Even more if we count the coaching staff shuffles. Amount of domestic titles in this time period? 0. Amount of strong international showings? Also 0. And honestly, just talking about this makes me feel sick. Let's just get 2024 over with. The roster of Oscarinin, Razork, Humanoid, Noah and Jun is still consistently mediocre. In winter we lost in our first best of 5 to MAD, 3-2. Then we topped spring regular season, won 2 best of 5s against Vitality and BDS respectively, but lost to G2 in the finals as pair. Then for some reason Riot decided to invite 2 teams from each of the major regions for MSI, and thus we could embarrass ourselves internationally a few more times. We qualified for the main event only to lose our first best of 5 against top Esports. And then lose to Team Liquid in the losers bracket. Like, I get losing to Chinese and Korean teams, but NA? Really? That's a new fucking low. Come Esports World Cup, Fnatic gets yet another chance to show the world how uncompetitive we've become. Again, losing the opening best of 3 to Team Liquid and immediately dropping out of the tournament. Then, like clockwork, in summer we get to LEC finals, only to lose to G2, and then we repeat the same pattern in season finals, also losing to G2. At the time of me recording this video, Fnatic is on the verge of dropping out of Worlds 2024 with a score of 1-2. On Saturday we're going to play versus Weibo to see if our tournament run continues or ends here. I think what makes being a Fnatic fan such a miserable experience are the expectations of living up to our past glory. These days of winning every split are long gone, and the org now looks nothing like when we were actually the Europe's best. This settling for mediocrity is what makes cheering for Fnatic feel so shit. We could be so much more, yet nothing's done to turn that possibility into reality. I only scratched the surface of Fnatic's problems here, while trying to mostly focus on the results rather than causes to our visible issues. I still hope you found my trip down memory lane somewhat entertaining. If you've managed to move on from supporting Fnatic and I brought some tough memories back, then I'm very sorry, and I hope you're able to find peace in supporting any other team out there. Also, this is my first attempt at making video essay content, so any criticism is greatly welcome, as I'm trying to quickly learn and improve, something the Fnatic roster is seemingly incapable of. Hopefully see you in the next video. Cheers.